Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you back to our Allegheny West Conference camp meeting. This is our youth hour, and I'm just so excited to have some of my friends here today, Tamaria and Chim, Wayne Kulemeka, the Kulemeka family. I had the great privilege of pastoring them for 5 years at the Hilltop Community Worship Center in Columbus, Ohio. Chim was one of my elders, and Tamaria was one of our worship leaders and about 30 other things at the church. But even before that, we had a great relationship, and it only just strengthened as my time there. We remain great friends today. And I'm so glad to have them here today. And we're going to talk about family worship. And this interview, right now, we're going to interview the parents, but we're going to also interview their children. And we're just going to have a great time talking about family worship today, in hopes that we can just inspire all of the families out there who are watching, wherever you are in the world today, to really value family worship in your homes. And if you haven't already started, to begin to just implement family worship into your homes. So I'm just excited to have you guys here with me today.
Amen.
And let's get right into it. So the very first question I want to ask you guys is, why is family worship important?
I think family worship is important as it brings families together. When you think about it, we do our individual study. Everybody's got their own Sabbath school lessons based on age. The kids have their own, and the adults have their own. But when we do family worship, you find something that's common to everybody else in the family, and it just brings everybody together. That way we're all studying one common thing, and it expands on everybody's knowledge on that topic and everything else. So I just like it because it brings family worship together. It brings families together.
Amen. Amen. I think one of the things that has been influential, because we've always tried to have family worship. I remember several years ago when you actually did a prayer meeting and you talked about family worship and you talked about how essential family worship is to a family. And I just remember that being a very influential thing, because even though we've always kind of done family worship, it's just like family worship is key to our families thriving, to our families, staying connected, staying united in the body of Christ. And so, that is really essential to just have that coming together, as Jim said.
Amen. Amen. Well, I do not remember that prayer meeting, but I know it's true. I do really believe in family worship. And yes, thank you. Second question we want to talk about. What's your favorite part of family worship?
I think my favorite part of family worship is just whatever topic we're talking about, focusing on that topic, getting feedback from the kids, getting feedback from one another. We do so many different activities for family worship. So I'm always excited, like if we're doing artwork, I'm excited to see what everybody's going to draw, what everybody's going to come up with. If we're doing a skit, just excited to see everybody getting involved, doing their part. So it's just the excitement of coming together and just seeing, what are they going to produce? Because we do so many different activities. We look for different ideas. There's a Sabbath school app. I think it's called Sabbath Ideas.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we get ideas from there. Sometimes we get ideas from books. Sometimes we make up our own games or Sabbath related worship activities. Just trying to have diversity and trying to make sure that we don't always do the same thing all the time, because we don't want the kids to get bored and like, it's time for worship. We want it to be an enjoyable time when we come together.
Yeah, and that's so key. Making sure, for all those who are listening, it's so key to make sure, especially when you have children at home, to make sure it doesn't get boring, that it's interesting. Tim, did you want to just add to that?
Just along the same lines, it's always interesting to see what everybody will come up with. Sometimes, we'll step back and just let the kids say, okay, we'll let them know ahead of time. Okay, next week you lead out with whatever idea you're going to lead out with. So then the kids will come up with their idea, and then they'll lead out with that. So it's always interesting to see, coming from a kid's perspective, with their idea, and then we just all of us will use that idea as Sabbath worship. So it's always good to have the kids lead out.
Nice.
Too, yeah.
And I know that, and particularly during this time, with COVID-19 and churches being shut down. So I know you guys have had a lot of time coming up with different ideas for worship, for family worship.
Yes.
Next question I want to ask. Tell us a little bit about how often you have family worship. Is it daily? Is it weekly? Or based upon everyone's schedule?
Yeah, I think it's based upon everyone's schedule. You know, sometimes we'll have family worship all together, maybe like 3 times a week, or sometimes it might just be Friday night and Sabbath. It just depends. One of the things, like how you mentioned with COVID-19, that's really, you know, forced us to think outside the box. And one of the things, you know, with each of the kids, I try to meet with each of them individually every day to do their lesson with them, to focus on their lesson. So before, it just used to be meeting with Chimwemwe, mainly because she's the youngest, and so I always do her lesson with her. But now I'm more intentional because I'm teaching every day about meeting with Toko for his own special, like little 15-minute time where we sit down and we talk about his Sabbath school lesson. And we try to do that a few times a week. And Dalitso, he's faithful every night. His time is 10 o'clock p.m. And every night he's faithful. He comes to me, Mommy, are we going over the lesson today? You know, and so I appreciate that because sometimes I'm working and I'm in the grind. But Dalitso's like, Mommy, it's time for our worship time. You know, so I think we've had to do more than just come together as a family, because now we're at home all the time. And so we have to do things differently. So even though, yes, we still have family worship where the 5 of us will come together, we try to have it more individualized too, where we're meeting with each individual child and just spending that personal time with them. And I mean, those times have been really great.
And one thing that you just said, and I do want to and for families out there who are watching, you don't have to stress yourself, so that if you set the goal that we have to do it every day as a family and things like that, but sometimes things happen. And you may miss a day. I'm just thankful how you know, you just showed how you don't have to stress yourself. You don't have to be upset or feel defeated, but you do the best you can. And as long as you're doing something every week, whether it's just everyone together or even with just the individual child, I think it's great.
Usually during the week, like I say, you know, most of the times parents are busy with this and that, and by the time evening comes, everybody's tired. So so like I say, if you miss it during the week, it's no stress. But we always make sure Friday night that we don't miss it, you know, because now Friday night is Sabbath, so everybody's home. So we'll make sure Friday night that we open up to bring in the Sabbath together. And then, you know, Sabbath is Saturday evening. We always make sure that we close the Sabbath before we go on to do our regular stuff. You know, make sure we close out the Sabbath together, and then you can reflect on the day and all that stuff. So we always make sure, at least, you know, so if you can miss anything else, at least don't miss Friday night opening up the Sabbath together and Saturday night closing the Sabbath together. And we always try to make it, you know, not too long. You know, we always try not to drag it out. So, you know, so even 15 minutes is good. You know, we sit there for 15 minutes, discuss it, and after that, you know, move on to other things and stuff.
And I think it's great too how you instilled in your children too the desire to have their own personal worship as well. And so that's so important, that some type of worship is taking place every day, whether it's not just as a family group together, but yet individually, at least we're all having worship.
And one of the things to kind of piggyback off of what Chim was saying, you know, with this whole pandemic, I mean, God has just been stretching us. God has been broadening our horizons to do things that we never would have thought we would have done before. Like, you know, we started a youth Sabbath school that we do every Sabbath at 1:30. And so we did that because we didn't want our kids just sitting around on Sabbath. I mean, we love that they come to Instagram too, but we wanted to have something else where they could still study the lesson and be engaged. And then I just said, okay, well, the rest of the time, what are we doing? You know, and then what grew out of that is on Wednesday nights, we have for 30 minutes a prayer chat on Zoom. And so we bring the Sabbath school group back together and on Wednesday night. And my kids have amazed me because one week Dalitso said, hey, I got an idea. Can I do the devotional thought tonight? And he let out on the Zoom chat. And the next week Toko was like, hey, I got an experiment that can relate to God. And so the kids are coming up with ideas and they are taking ownership. And so this whole worship idea has just grown and expanded on so many levels.
Wow, amazing, amazing. The fourth question I want to ask you, what does the typical family worship consist of in your home?
Oh my goodness.
Because for those who are listening, they may need some ideas to really get started.
I mean, I think the basic one, or the Friday night ones, they usually do elaborate ones, which they usually draw and do all kind of art stuff. But the basic one that we do, most Adventists can probably relate. You know those Bible story books?
Yeah.
They come in a set.
Yeah.
So usually we'll just start with one book. We'll start with one book and pick a story out of it, and those are like usually every night type of thing. So we'll read a story. So like we'll just pick book one. I think it's like 5 in a series.
No, like 10 books.
Yeah. So we pick book one. Whichever one is interesting or whatever. So we pick that book and we just go through it. So each day you just read one chapter out of that, and then you read that, and then we discuss it and see how it relates to each and every one of us. That way we're learning the Bible and we're relating it to ourselves. So that one is a more typical weekly type of thing.
Right. And with those
on the weekends, you guys
on the weekends we do other things. We kind of get outside the box. But even but even with the stories, like you said, you still, you can always just sit there and read the story. Sometimes we act it out. We'll say, okay, let's act out this story. Or sometimes, like one night we were reading the story and it was talking about the baptism of Jesus. And remember, we were sitting around the dinner table because we had just finished eating dinner. And I said, okay, guys, we're reading about the baptism of Jesus. And the kids had some questions. And so I said, ooh, there's a movie on, I think it was Netflix, called The Gospel of John.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, guys, we're just going to go right to that part at the beginning where it shows when Jesus was baptized. So it's like we were able to read it, but then we were able to see it.
Yeah.
So it was really cool because we were able to make those connections. And that's what I mean. Sometimes God will give you those ideas on the spot because you're just trying to make sure that your children really connect with what you're talking about. And sometimes if you just read it, they're going to be like, okay, yeah, we read every night. So we're always trying to look for different ideas, always trying to look for different opportunities. Like I said, that Sabbath School app, we've done emoji stories where we've told a Bible story, we've drawn it out, but we've just used emojis. That came from the Sabbath Ideas app, or we'll pick a letter out of a hat and then we'll take that letter and we'll look in the concordance and find something that we can illustrate. Then everybody else has to figure out what we illustrated and we put a Bible verse with it. So we just try to look for different ideas because we want our kids to be engaged. We want them to love worship. We want them to look forward to worship.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Just a couple more questions.
Okay.
Do you notice a difference in your home life, whether or not you're having family worship?
Yeah, I definitely notice a difference. Like I said, when, every night Dalito comes at 10 o'clock and he's like, Mommy, we have worship. But there have been a couple of times when I'm like, oh, Dalito, I'm tired. We'll do it tomorrow, but then I'm just like, I shouldn't have done that. Like whatever I'm doing, I need to stop what I'm doing because I know that moment right there, those 15 minutes that we're spending together, those are going to be the most impactful moments in the day. More impactful than me asking you, what homework do you have to do? Why'd you get this grade in that class? Or those 15 minutes or those 20 minutes are more impactful than anything else. So I definitely think, that there is a big difference if we don't have family worship. Like when Chimwemwe gets up in the morning, we have to do her Sabbath school lesson because if we don't do her Sabbath school lesson, then she's going to hop on the Gold Rush or something because I'm in class and she's like, oh, well, Mommy's busy, blah, blah, blah. And usually Chim's at work. So we have to have that time. It definitely makes a difference. It keeps everybody grounded.
And I think it makes a difference just in the fact that the kids are learning something. As adults who grew up in the church and learning and all that stuff, sometimes you kind of feel like you know all the Bible stories. But when your 4-year-old, watching a movie and she can relate and she'll bring up something about Esther, there's something that she learned about Esther or something that she learned about whatever Bible character it is, and we're just doing regular stuff, then that, you're making a big difference in your kid's life, that they're finally learning something about God, so just doing that, it just shows that your kids are growing spiritually as you're doing that.
Oh, yeah. I remember one time when I was home in Virginia, and my nephew, and he had to be probably Tim Wainwright's age, maybe around 4 or 5 or something at that time. And I'll never forget. You have worship, you do these things with the kids, but sometimes you never know how much of a difference it's making, how much they're taking in. Because I remember one time we were just playing on the ground and just wrestling around and everything. And next thing you know, I'm laying on the ground and he's taking my arm and he's put my arm out and he's put my other arm out here. And next thing you know, he stretched me out almost like Jesus, the story of Jesus on the cross. And before I knew it, he was putting nail prints in my arm. He pierced my side and everything. And I just, it really dawned on me. It's like, wow, this boy is enacting the death of Jesus Christ on the cross. Yes. Yeah. It has been imprinted in his mind, even at a young age, just because of family worship.
Right.
And that's just really how important it is.
Yeah. No, and it's significant. And, not only ministering to our kids, it's ministering to us. It's ministering to me. I remember a few weeks ago, Shemway's story was Anytime, Anywhere. And it was talking about how God, Jesus, he would steal away and how he would always get up early in the morning and go pray. And that just made such a significant impression upon me of how important it is to have that personal time with God. Just to have that personal time with God. That little story about Jesus getting up and going, and he, it was quiet, it was still. And so that made an impression upon me. So not only is this impacting them, it's impacting us because it's keeping us grounded, it's keeping us anchored, because we don't always get to do our Sabbath school lesson or have our devotional for the day. And so when we're having a devotional with the kids, it's impacting us, all of us. Like Toko, he was sharing with his story with me last week as we were talking, and I was like, wow. And even though I was so tired that night, the next day I was like, Toko, that was good. Oh yeah, I remember that part you shared with me. And he's like, Mommy, I tucked you into bed after that. I was like, I know you did. I'm so sorry I went to sleep on you. But it's not just about what it's doing for them. It's really helping us as well.
Wow. Amen. Amen. And last question. What would you say to the families out there that are struggling to have consistent family worship? And this question has kind of multiple parts to it. And what are some of the challenges that you've had over the years, and how did you address them as it pertains to like family worship and getting established in your homes?
So one of the things I would say to families who are struggling to have consistent worship is just start somewhere. Just start somewhere. You could start with just opening to your favorite psalm or opening to your favorite, story in the Bible. Just start somewhere and look for ideas. Like I said, there's a Sabbath Ideas app that you can download. There are different activities, and the Sabbath school lessons have been a godsend. GuideMagazine.org has been a godsend. There are actually Sabbath games on there and videos and all sorts of resources that we haven't even tapped into just because we don't know that they're available. I even had a parent last night who texted me and said, hey, where can I find my kid's Sabbath school lesson? And that was awesome because that let me know that this is making an impact, the things that we're doing. And so I would say to just start somewhere. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be grand. And I'm always a person who says I never have good ideas. But other people have great ideas. So you can start somewhere. One of the things that I saw that was a challenge is getting in a devotional in the mornings. And I don't want to go too far into this because I know Toko's probably going to mention this. But one of the things I was struggling with was, man, we can't have worship in the morning because we're going to school. This is when we were in school. And God just gave us brilliant ideas on how to have worship in the morning on our way to school. And that's all I'm going to say because I want Toko to get into that more. But it revolutionized our drives on the way to school. It really did, because we would have worship every morning in the car, and it was just awesome. Every kid participated because I carpool. So I would have like 5 other kids in the car with us, but we had a great time worshiping together every morning.
So, like how she said, start somewhere. If it's a struggle always as parents trying keep your kids interested. And sometimes as parents themselves to stay interested in it. But like how she said, just start somewhere, and once you start, just make it consistent. So if it's two or three times a week, make it 2 or 3 times a week, and definitely, like I said earlier, don't miss opening, bringing in the Sabbath together. Because at that time everything is slowing down. So all your work is slowing down. Everything else that you were doing, the kids are coming in. So now everybody's like no devices, no nothing. So everybody's just going like, now what do we do? So make it a consistent. Consistency is really important. As far as opening the Sabbath and closing out the Sabbath. And we always, sometimes the kids always they know the questions that we're going to ask them. What was your interesting part about the Sabbath? How would you improve on your Sabbath? But those questions, even though we ask the same questions every week, the answers are always changing. Mm-hmm. So just keep it keep it interesting and keep it short. It doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Because kids' attention span is short. Just keep it short. 30, 15 minutes, and make sure that, like I said, sometimes our kids are always the ones, kids are the ones that are leading out. So let them lead out. That way they're part of it. That way, like sometimes kids at church always feel like they're just preaching to us. They're not involved in it. So have the kids involved in it. And, sometimes, teenagers, they may feel like, oh, I don't want to do this now. This is boring. But, if they're coming up with the ideas, they're going to, it's their idea. So it cannot be a boring idea because you came up with it. So get the kids involved and just be consistent with it. Spend a specific amount of time each day, or whenever you're trying to do it. Be consistent and just do it, and God will bless. God will bless the children. God will bless the home, and it's going to be something that everybody looks forward to, and it will be interesting.
Yeah. And really, you can look around you. And God will give you ideas. Yeah. And if you just pray, because every morning, like I said, when we would get in the car, I would always say, okay, Lord, what can we talk about today? We only got 5 minutes, God. Mm-hmm. And God, without fail, always gave us something. He always gave us something. Some days we would say, okay, guys, everybody that we pass, we're going to pray for them. Wow. And each kid would be praying for somebody. We couldn't get all the cars, but each kid would be praying for somebody. Wow. We called them our drive-by prayers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So God always provides. God always makes provision. And he loves when we worship him. So I believe that he'll make a way for every family that wants to worship him.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Well, I want to just say you guys are doing a great job. I've been watching you over the years. You guys are great parents.
Praise God.
I love the love that your family has for each other.
Yeah.
And we're just thankful for just all that you've shared with us today as parents on family worship. And we're just looking forward now to interviewing your children.
Amen.
I want to thank you for the opportunity that you gave our family just to be able to come out and share what we normally do. So it's a blessing. We thank God every day. So just thank you for this opportunity.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
All right.
I'm here with two of my favorite young men, Dalitso and Thokozani Kulemeka. We had the great privilege of interviewing you guys' parents about family worship. Now we're excited to talk to you a little bit about family worship. But before we really get started, can you just tell us, Dalitso and Toko, can you tell us how old you are and what grade you're in?
My name is Dalitso Kulemeka, and I'm 14 years old, and I'm in the 9th grade.
Hello, my name is Thokozani Kulemeka. I'm 10 years old, and I'm in the 5th grade.
Yeah, woo woo. So we're going to get right into it. Is that okay?
Yes.
So the first question I want to ask you guys is, why is family worship important to you? And just answer honestly.
You can go first.
Family worship is important to me because it's just a time to spend away from devices and everything, and just connect with God, but as a family, so together as a whole.
Wow.
To me, family worship is important because we all have busy days with this lockdown and everything. So family worship, for most times or all the time, it's the thing to look forward to because you get away from all your devices and you just spend time with your family and God.
Wow. Man, I'm impressed by both of you guys' answers. I mean, here we didn't think young people ever wanted to be away from their devices. And these two brothers are saying that's one of the things they love about family worship is the fact that it's a time where they're able to put their devices down, just come together as a family and worship. Great, guys. What is your favorite part of family worship?
I would say Friday nights. Because on Friday nights, after we finish eating, we always have this fun activity. And that's my favorite part of family worship. And that's the part I look forward to.
Wow.
My favorite part of family worship would probably be like sometimes throughout the week, if like we're all free or whatever, we'll like come together. Like we have like this Twister Scrabble thing or whatever, and then like we'll like set on the floor, and then it has like letters and small little numbers on each letter. So like we'll get in teams of 2, and then the person who's not on the team will like have the little spinner, and then they'll spin it, and whatever it lands on, like, so it'll be like spell, sentence, or like something like that. And then that's when you have to like find something in the Bible that has to deal with that letter that you get. And then like you go on the board and you try to spell it out, but it can only be under 10 letters because like you only have 10 body parts between you and your partner. So I just like that because it's a fun way to like incorporate the Bible with it.
Wow, so you guys have added Twister to family worship.
Yes.
I love it. I never thought of that, man. That's so creative. That's great. See, everyone out there, there's so many different things. You can just be creative. You just come up with all kind of different ideas and things. You don't have to box yourself into what we typically call things for worship. But they've added Twister, the game of Twister, to their family worship, and that's amazing. Have you guys ever led out in worship?
Yeah, I mean, not all the time, but like sometimes we'll lead out, and like it's just like a topic that like you have to come up and make sure that like you can incorporate everyone, because our sister, she's small, so like some stuff she won't understand, so like you have to make it easy enough so everyone will understand, but they still get the main point.
Wow.
Yes. So before this pandemic, when we used to go to school, a few other kids used to ride with us to school, and we had worship in the car, and we always did this. We always had a week where we always let out. So for the example, if you could name a street in heaven, what would it be? If you could have an address in heaven, what would it be? What color reminds you most of God? Stuff like that.
Wow, so what is the address you came up with, if you can remember?
I think it was 7740. 7 because 7 is the number of perfection, and 40 is just when in the Bible you see 40 a lot.
Yeah.
So I just think of 40 as the number of significance.
Wow. So 7740. Did it have a street name too?
I forgot my
Was it
street
like
name.
Hallelujah Boulevard or
Oh, that was my mom.
Hosanna Way or?
I think mine was Praise Jesus something.
Amen. Amen. Praise Jesus Drive.
Yeah, something like that.
Amen. So you guys are very creative. So I want you to help all of our listeners who are viewing in from all over the world now. I want you to help them right now and their families. Share with us some ideas that you have that can make family worship fun. Because we all like to have fun.
I mean, just the main way to make it fun is like just make it appealing to everyone. Because some stuff that like we used to do like when we were little, it's not as fun as it was now than as it was then. So like just like you have to just keep everyone in mind that like not everyone likes the same stuff as they used to. So you may just have to like find new things and everything.
So like evolving as the child grows and gets bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sometimes have to evolve, because what they may have been interested in at 8 doesn't mean they're interested in that same thing at 13.
Yeah.
That's basically what you're saying. Toku, you want to add anything to that?
Like my brother said, not everybody likes the same things. Like our family, we are completely different. So we have to find stuff that we all like equally. And some stuff, it might be like you don't like it at first, but how are you gonna know if you ever like it if you don't try it?
Yeah, wow. So I need each of you to give me one idea of something that you like? Both of you are saying that, talking about how you got to find things that you like and things like that. So can you just share one idea of something that you like in family worship? Could be something that you guys have already done that you really loved, or something that you would like to do.
When we had to do an emoji, because we had to do emojis for a Bible story, and then they had to guess what the story was from the emojis.
Wow. I like that. I like that.
I like when like my sister, she'll do like skits and stuff. So like her and my mom, they'll come together on their own thing, and then they'll try to do skits and stuff, and then we have to like guess what the skit is, or like sometimes we'll be incorporated in the skit and we'll just do it together and act it out.
Wow, great. Just a couple more questions. Does family worship make you feel close to your family?
Yes, because it's a gateway to spending time with each other, because we're all busy now. And even when we used to go to school, we were still busy because Delisa wasn't here. My mom was still doing work. I had homework. Chimwemwe, I don't know what Chimwemwe was doing. My dad, he was sleeping because he used to work nights. So we were all in our different spaces doing our different stuff. But now that we're home, we have to be more creative and we have to think of stuff. And since we're home, there's no reason not to do family worship. So yes.
Yes, and it makes you feel close. Lalisa, did you want to add anything to that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes us feel closer because like we're just all together, just spending time together, just talking and learning about God. So like we're all like helping each other make it to the same place at the end of the day.
Amen. And last question. What would you say to other children out there who don't like having family worship or think it's boring? What would you say to them to help them give family worship a second chance?
I would just tell them to just come up with your own stuff, so like your parents aren't just doing everything by themselves. So like if you come up with something and like you think it's a good idea to share with the family, like you can show them and be like, I think this is what we should do, because like the other stuff wasn't really getting to you. So like you could just like put in your own input and just like if they have an idea that they're stuck on, then like you could just like help them like mold it to something that you would like to.
Wow, thank you.
And like I said before, all families are different. And I especially like that question because I used to be one of those kids who was like, oh, family worship, here we go, I don't want to be in it. But now I would say never try to black out a question or your suggestion until you ask your parents or your family for it. And keep your options open, because even if you don't like something, it sounds like boring, like, oh my goodness, why do we have to do this? But then you might actually like it. So don't shut things off as soon as they come to you.
Thank you. So young people, you heard it here first. Keep your options open. Don't just write it off as soon as you hear about it, but keep your options open. Guys, I just really thank you. I'm proud of you. You guys are two really great young men, and I've, watched you grow up. And I'm just excited about what God is doing in your lives, and I'm excited about your futures. And I just thank you for your honesty today and being able to just share with us how you feel about family worship, what it means to you, and what are different things that can be done to help other families out there who may be struggling to have family worship, what they can do to really help make things better in their home. So I thank you, and at this time I'm getting ready to look forward to interviewing your little sister, Chimwemwe. Chimwemwe, so how old are you?
4.
You're 4?
Yes.
So Chimwemwe, tell me, what do you like about family worship?
I like that we do the skits, and as Delito says, I do with my mom, and the skits are mostly from my Sabbath school lesson, and my mom thinks about it.
So can you tell me one of the skits that you did?
Yes.
What was it about?
One was called The Woman at the Well.
Yes. And you like that story? Wow, that's amazing. What else do you do in worship? Do you sing or
Yeah, we sing.
do you like to sing?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite song that you sing?
Yes.
What is it?
It's the song that we sing before we go to bed.
Yeah, and that's one of the songs you do for worship?
No.
Oh, but it's just one of the songs that you sing. You like to sing. Well, do you have a song that you like to do in worship? Or a song that you can share with us today? You want to sing it for us? Can you sing it now? Let's hear it.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father, for this day, for this day. Enjoy many blessings, enjoy many blessings. Amen, amen. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. The kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And do not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, for the power, and the glory forever. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Hey man, Chimwemwe, that was so beautiful. Your voice is so amazing.
Thank
And you learned that song in worship, in family worship?
No,
With your mommy helped you learn it?
no.
Who taught you that song?
It's the song we sing before we go to bed.
Okay. Thank you. But did you know that's part of worship too? When you pray before you go to bed and you read your lesson, that's all a part of family worship. Did you know that? Yeah, it is. It is. And do you like it when you have family worship and your dad is there and your mom is there and your two brothers and everyone's there together?
Yes,
How does that make you feel?
happy.
Why? Why does it make you feel happy?
Because all my family's there and I'm not the only one there.
And you like being there with everyone. You've heard it here first from young Chimwemwe, talking about how important it is, even at a young child, 4 years old. It makes her feel so happy, as it will make your young children feel happy to really be able to have that worship together when everyone as a family is here worshiping together. I hope that there was something that we've said today through the interview of the Kulemeka family that will inspire your family and help your family to really, if you have not already done so, to really begin to implement not just your own personal individual worship, but family worship together. It makes a major impact on your family. It can really help all of you grow together and bond and just prepare you guys as a family for heaven. And that's what it's all about, because when Jesus comes back again, he doesn't want to just come back for mommy or for daddy. He doesn't want to just come back for the brother or sister, but he wants to come back for your entire family. He wants you all to make it into heaven one day. And so for our families out there, for our young people who may be listening, family worship is so important. And I'm hoping and praying that there is something that has been said today, whether it's from Chimwemwe, whether it's from Dalitso or Tokozani, or whether it's from mom and dad, Chimwemwe or Tamaria, but there was something that was said that will be a blessing and an impact to your family. We thank you for tuning in with us this evening, and we hope that you'll join us again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another Youth Hour during Allegheny West Conference Camp Meeting. God bless and goodbye.